Hi, my name is Nancy Love, and I'm making this video on behalf of the Planet Peace Project as well as your own and that of the whole world. Um, yes, this is my drawing. It is something that just came galloping out of my subconscious one day when I started sketching. I started with this TR3B here, and this organism here developed quite without my planning it. So I'm very fond of it, and I kind of identify with it, and there you are. Um, I'm disgusted with people who do cocaine. I'm disgusted with people who do methamphetamines. I'm disgusted with people who raise their hands against others and use things like rohypnol, heroin, ketamine, um, fentanyl. Fentanyl is now the leading cause of death in people ages 18 to 45. Yeah, fentanyl alone is killing more people than diabetes, car crashes, murders, suicides. It's astonishing how deadly that crap is. But people are using things like fentanyl, heroin, ketamine, rohypnol, and so forth to drug other people and then sexually assault them. It's called drug facilitated sexual assault. And these people should have their hands removed. Now you think, but Nancy, you used to be called the Planet Peace Woman, and how could someone who wanted to be called the Planet Peace Woman and want to start an international peace organization suggest removing the hands of people who use drugs against other people in order to harm them? Well, at some point, a person, even a compassionate, loving, Christ like, Buddha like person, all empathic and nurturing and kind and forgiving and so forth, even people like me just have enough. And if I hear one more time, even one more time, about somebody being drugged without their permission and then sexually assaulted, I think I may explode like a bomb. I read recently of two women who died in Los Angeles, California. They were drugged with some of the things that I've just mentioned, used sexually, raped, basically tortured, and then dumped out at two different emergency room parking lots where they died. People who are drugging to rape are risking murdering people for lust and greed. And they are uh, sometimes actually killing people, possibly by accident. But I also have heard of a situation in San Diego, California, in May of 2022. You listen to me and you listen now. In May of 2022, there's a 68-year-old woman who died, and it looked like alcohol poisoning or some sort of, degenerative disease took her. But in point of fact, I was told that she had been drugged, was being raped, woke up during the course of the crime, and so they murdered her and made it look like she died of natural causes. That's what these people are capable of, and that's what they call just having a little fun. Well, it's not fun for the victims now, is it? A lot of these people are cocaine dealers. They are speed freaks. They are heroin addicts. They are slime. And I have made tremendous progress in my YouTube videos and my personal consulting and life coaching and counseling with people. I'm a behavioral medical consultant with an academic background in psychology and nutrition and so forth, lifestyle management, stress management. No, I used to have such compassion for drug addicts. No more. No, 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 I don't care. You get addicted to drugs on purpose because you choose to follow a path Or you want your brain altered when your brain was designed to work on food, air, water, and sleep. Boom, food, air, water, sleep. You don't need cocaine. Duh. You don't need heroin. Duh. You never needed methamphetamines a day in your life. Screw the Valium. Take all your sedatives, take all your garbage and toss it. Because you never needed any of it, but once you get addicted to it, your brain thinks you need it. Your soul never did. Learn to differentiate between your soul, your personality, your individuality, and your brain chemistry, which can be extremely vulnerable and made an addict when you, as a soul, would not be addicted, would not be a slave. You are a slave when you're a drug addict. You are a slave. And the people, the international cabals of people who sell that garbage to you want you to keep paying for their garbage. They know it's garbage. Do you know that a lot of high level drug dealers don't do any of the drugs at all ever that they sell you? Because they're too smart to. They know what that stuff is and they don't want to be enslaved. The slave driver doesn't want to be a slave. They just want you to be a slave. And I am so tired of particularly cocaine dealers and addicts saying that, oh, everybody does cocaine. I've heard somebody say recently, up and down the street, everybody's doing cocaine. I've heard people say all attorneys do cocaine. That is categorically false. I've heard police officers say that some of their buddies do cocaine and speed to stay awake, during their shifts and blah, blah, blah. Well, they should be in prison. Police officers who do illegal drugs should be in jail. As long as we're not talking about marijuana, because I've also heard police officers, and about half my friends are cops or FBI agents or in the DEA or Homeland. I've got a lot of friends in local and federal law enforcement agencies, right? But I have heard, particularly cops in LA, I'll probably get somebody in trouble for saying this, but they'll say that smoking marijuana when they're off duty helps them calm down and manage their anger, their stress, and, quote, hate civilians less, unquote. So I'm thinking, well, anything that helps cops hate regular people less is probably a good thing, as long as it's not overdone. But you don't want people smoking pot or, doing edibles while they're at work if they're driving squad cars and running into burning buildings and trying to help crime victims. Now, do we? So, stress management is one thing, but there's nothing that can create more stress in your life than becoming addicted to a drug that you're then going to need. It creates a whole separate need. You've needed air all your life. You've needed water all your life. You've needed food all your life. And you've needed sleep all your life. But what happened the day you became addicted to a drug by your own choice? You created a whole separate need that you're going to be enslaved by and in servitude to, because you were too stupid to realize that you weren't supposed to have that garbage in your brain. The next person who tells me everybody does cocaine, I'm going to spit on them. I am tired of hearing it. That's not true. The vast majority of people do not do cocaine. We're free of that stupidity and that garbage and that enslavement. We don't do stupid things like cocaine. Quit assuming, and Freud called it psychological projection. You tend to, we all tend to assume that other people are like us. I'm kind, compassionate, trustworthy, completely trustworthy, inveterately honest, tolerant, loving. And so I go around assuming most people are like me. And I'm trying to grow up and show up for the reality of the fact that it's probably the case that nothing could be further from the truth. Very few people really are that much like me. Very few people are actually worthy of trust, deeply moral, clean hands, safe to be around. Most people, from what I can tell now after being in California and Texas for several decades, most people do engage in some form of criminality, possibly myriad forms. But by no means are they all drug addicts. They're just immoral for other reasons, like basic lack of philosophical development or lack of personal evolution. So when you hear people say everybody smokes pot or everybody does coke or everybody gets high on speed and blah, 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 realize you're listening to a bunch of balderdash and BS. It's completely categorically untrue. And remember that people who study the psychology of affiliation, who you work with, who you live with, who you marry, who you hang around with as friends, that's affiliation. People who've studied the psychology of affiliation say that such projection bias is a direct result of conformity and familiarity and also proximity. We tend to affiliate with people who are nearby, who are like us in terms of our financial and professional pursuits and educational background, sometimes sociocultural class and race. All these things can help determine who we affiliate with. So people who think that, quote, everybody does cocaine, unquote, are are being subject to a projection bias based on their own personal affiliations. I personally know that almost, or think that almost no one does cocaine because I don't hang out with people who do it. I don't live, by choice at least, with people who do it. And I would never willingly move in with someone or affiliate as a friend or whatever with someone who is involved with methamphetamines, heroin, cocaine, that these people don't put that sort of thing on their business card. They don't put it on their Craigslist housing ads. They don't email you that kind of information when they say, yeah, you could rent a room here or whatever, or you could, live at this hostel, blah, blah, blah. No, people try to keep the fact that they're drug addicts and often drug dealers on the down low. People don't want to go around admitting that they're enslaved by a chemical that they never needed to begin with, but are too stupid or incompetent to get free of. And oh boy, once you get that cadre of friends, once most of the people you know do those kinds of drugs with you, and you become popular and you feel that you are um, conforming to the crowd and you get your sense of social belonging by being a drug addict with them and sometimes a drug dealer, then it becomes extremely difficult for you to pull away from that because you may have to leave your home, your friends, possibly your place of employment, maybe even your location, move to a new city if you have to. And that is a big transition to make, particularly if you're trying to make it with a drugged out brain. It's a vicious, vicious, horrifying circle, people. I'm seeing this happen to so many otherwise intelligent, otherwise creative people that they're trying to make life decisions with a brain that they are purposefully, knowingly drugging into cognitive oblivion. So, how can an intelligent, creative, competent, talented person make decisions about how to be free of, conforming to a drugged out crowd with a drugged out brain? It's a massive, massive, vicious circle once you start on that path. There's an old saying, what a wicked web we weave when first we practice to deceive. Well, let me paraphrase that. What a profoundly horrifying life you begin to create when first you practice to create it under the influence of dangerous drugs and alcohol. You set yourself on a path of rampant stupidity. And just remember Todd Rundgren, when someone who has been addicted to more chemicals than I can personally name in an encyclopedia full of chemicals and is an internationally renowned drug addict. When Todd Rundgren has his concerts and he hauls out, "Let's get stupid," he means it. People who encourage you to be a drug addict are encouraging you to be a stupid person. Are you going to do it? Or are you going to let your God given natural intellect, your nature given, your walking tonka, great spirit, your natural brain function? Are you going to be the best, most self actualized, most intelligent, most creative, most talented, most competent person that you can be? Well, if you want to do that, if that's your goal, you're going to have to achieve it without your cocaine, without your heroin, without your methamphetamines, without your Adderall, without your sedatives and all that trash. People, if you're chemically addicted, you need to get all the help you can possibly get. But you need to take out the trash.